Hey everyone! 2 weeks ago I released a video talking about the Arbor Storms and Wave of Conviction setup for speedy leveling through Path of Exile, and the video did attract a lot of attention. Since there seems to be a lot of interest in speeding up the leveling process, particularly from newer players, I wanted to make a quick video with very basic information and tips around going fast in Ray class. Welcome everyone to this basic tips and tricks video where I'll give some basic but very essential tips for a speedy progression through the acts. If you tried some racing before, you may already know some or even all of these, but since they aren't really documented anywhere, they are anything but obvious to the beginner. All of these are also quite helpful even if you're not trying to race. Let's start. 1. Logout and navigate with commands. A lot of people made fun of the constant use of the logout feature in my Arbor Storms Wave of Convictions video, but I want to make it very clear here that logging out is crucial, and if you truly want to min-max your leveling, you have to accept it as a part of the game, not only to save a portal scroll and or move to the spawn point in town, but also to prevent your character from dying. All enemy encounters in the game are balanced around the fact that players can log out at any time to find their characters safely back in the last town or hideout they visited prior to the logout. To utilize this fully, I recommend auto hotkey with the LUTbot script, which allows you to bind /exit and a TCP disconnect to a hotkey, as well as a bunch of other customizable binds. You want to define keybinds here for /hideout/delve as well as /menagerie, so you can easily make use of these very handy console commands to navigate between your zones. 2. Deactivate all pop-ups. Despite offering you to disable all tutorials, PoE will still create pop-ups whenever new help panel pages are available, which can get in your way and be quite annoying. There is a button in the help panel which allows you to disable these pop-ups, but the button to open the help panel is grayed out before you get the first page. However, when you're waiting for the race or league to start, you can still use the keybind to open the help panel and disable the pop-ups before you start to race, saving yourself some frustration and some time as well. 3. Don't wear a shield or chest piece. Now, this sounds like an obvious one if you've watched some racing before. Everyone knows if you're trying to be fast, you don't wear a chest piece or a shield. But every time I live stream, race practice or league starts, there's people asking why I am not wearing a body armor, because it's really not obvious at all. The movement speed reduction on body armor and shield bases is a hidden stat that you cannot see in game. By the way, there's other hidden stats in the game, for example attribute requirements that are lower than the minimum starting amount for any class. A crude bow, for example, has a hidden dexterity requirement of 14 that is not shown in the game, probably because outside of some weird exceptions, a character in Path of Exile does not have less than 14 dexterity. All strength and hybrid strength and int body armors come with a larger reduced movement speed penalty, but no matter whether your movement speed gets reduced by 3% or 5%, it is just something you want to avoid when you're in the first couple of acts and you're trying to go as fast as possible. 4. Bind move only to a key. Per default, your standard attack is assigned to your left mouse click in Path of Exile. The left mouse click is different from all other skill binds on your bar because it doubles as a move command. Because of this ambiguity, most people bind move only to their left mouse button and the attack to another button instead. But, like I said, your left mouse button is also your primary interaction key, so you cannot issue a move command if you have an item on your cursor and will drop the item instead. Therefore, if you're racing, you always bind move only to at least one more key, so you don't have to complete an interaction, but can always tell your character where to move even with an item on the cursor. Master this technique and you can navigate your character while organizing your items and moving them around and save tons of time. 5. Use the search function to scan for movement speed. This has been mentioned in the comments below my Arbor Storms Wave of Conviction video and can save you quite some time if used correctly. Before the race or league starts, you type out MOV, select it all by using Ctrl A, and copy it to the clipboard by using Ctrl C. Once you arrive in town and check the vendor offers, you can paste the MOV into the search window to find out whether there's movement speed boots available. Make sure you delete the search afterwards, or you do this after you check for sockets, because everything but movement speed boots will appear grayed out and you will not be able to read the colors correctly. Man, I wonder how colorblind people play this game. 6. Allocate passive points instantly without confirmation. If you allocate skill points with just a left click, the game will ask you to confirm upon trying to close the passive tree screen. In order to allocate your passive points without having to confirm, hold down your control key while you click to allocate. Try to always be aware of how your current progression in the tree looks like, so you can act fast when allocating without losing time. This way, you can allocate passive points so fast that you don't have to stop for it, but your character keeps moving all the time. 7. Activate advanced mod descriptions in the UI options. In case you did not know, you can activate advanced mod descriptions in the user interface tab of the game options. This should be activated by default in my opinion, because it is so helpful, especially to new players. With this activated, when you hover your cursor over an item and press your highlight key, this will show you detailed information about every mod. You can see the tier of the mod and the role ranges, its name, and most importantly, whether it's a prefix or a suffix. Of course, as an advanced player, you know that life and mana are always prefixes and resistances and attributes are always suffixes, but there's some mods that make things ambiguous, such as increased rarity of items found, which can appear both as a prefix and a suffix, or hybrid prefixes, such as increased defenses with stun and block recovery, or flat defenses with life or with mana, which can be mistaken for separate mods. With advanced mod descriptions on, you can instantly tell whether an item has free affix slots, and that makes decisions so much easier and therefore saves time. Last but not least, 8. Learn the layouts and boss mechanics. A lot of time is wasted on going the wrong way and finding yourself in a dead end. Or fighting a boss and not knowing the mechanics and animations well enough, running around trying to not get hit, or wasting time when you should be getting the damage in, or even dying to a misplay. Make sure you familiarize yourself with the progression as much as possible to prevent yourself from making avoidable mistakes that cost you time. For learning layouts, I recommend running them repeatedly with a very fast build to learn for yourself how to solve them. You can build a speedrunning character that utilizes evasion stacking with the unique Queen of the Forest body armor, which grants bonus move speed based on your evasion up to a cap. You can use a Jade Flask of reflexes to get to the cap more easily. Make sure to also use at least one Quicksilver Flask of adrenaline, and ideally be a Pathfinder for even more movement speed and flash charge regeneration without killing. There is some layout guides out there that you can find. I particularly want to highlight the work of KARVAROUSKU, who is a very knowledgeable ARPG veteran and generally known as the expert in regards to question about the Atlas of Worlds. On Karv's YouTube, you can find a top guide for the Val City layout in Act 7, as well as guides for some other zones. Make sure to subscribe, I'm sure we can expect more quality layout guides in the future. I also want to highlight SCALENE, who also runs a Twitch stream and a YouTube channel where he uploaded a very nice layout guide for the Brine King Reef in Act 6 and the Lower Prison in Act 1. Also here, make sure to subscribe if you like the content, and there might be more in the future. A very special mention here is the YouTube channel of a guy called HUIZUI. HUIZUI, who makes some of the very best boss mechanics videos in Path of Exile. There is no vocal narration, only music and video, animation and written details for every boss move and phase. He also has an entire video about layouts in Act 1 in the same style. You definitely want to subscribe to this channel. This is some of the best content for learning Path of Exile. Tell your PoE friends about this channel. And that's all I got for you today. Tell me which ones of these you already knew and which ones were new to you. Also, if you have other tips that would help new players and racers, feel free to share them in the comments down below. I did not expect so many people to show interest in learning how to race in PoE. If you haven't seen my video about the Orb of Storm's Wave of Conviction leveling setup, make sure to check it out. I will link it in the description and on the end screen. Thanks to everyone for the likes and subscriptions. I'm glad if you got something out of my content. I'll see you in the next one.